happening, guys? We are here. We are live. It's a bit early. It's a bit of an early one today. I'm not gonna lie. It's a bit of an early one because you guys know the Euros are back. I got a shirt on today. Big up to the team at Adidas Football and obviously Adidas London. Obviously, Italy got knocked out, but this is a nice kit. I'm not gonna lie, it's a nice kit. So I thought I might as well put it on as today is the first two games of the quarterfinals of the Euros. Spain versus Germany and who else is it? Spain versus Germany, France versus Portugal. So we're going to talk about that obviously towards the end of the stream, kind of come through with our predictions and all of that stuff. But there's always something happening in the world of Manchester United. And today's stream, we've got a bit to talk about. And just before I went live, UEFA actually posted an update that significantly impacts Manchester United. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the news coming straight out of Saudi Arabia, by the way. So the source, I think, is very reliable, about Saudi targeting Bruno Fernandes and already touching base with his camp. We're going to talk about Zirkzee reportedly agreeing terms with Manchester United, so that looks like it's edging ever so closer to some sort of an end. And news in the Manchester Evening News suggesting that Man United had a bid rejected by João Neves. Again, João Neves got a release clause, so I don't know why United are putting in a bid reportedly if it's not for something. That's the release clause. Simple as that. So we're going to talk about that. And I'm going to do a thing called Hear Me Out, where I'm going to pitch an idea. And I tweeted it today. Wow, you lot got onto me on Twitter. If you don't follow me on Twitter, socials are all there, right there. Minna Football on all platforms, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all of that stuff. But I posted a tweet saying, hear me out about a potential transfer. And you lot got onto me. So we're going to talk about that. But we're going to start with the most recent news, literally like 10 minutes ago, coming out from UEFA regarding the multi-ownership for clubs. According to UEFA, Manchester United and Manchester City can both compete in competitions where their other sister clubs are competing. So in the instance of Manchester United, they can compete in Europe, even alongside OGC Nice. Now, that is obviously owned by Ineos. Now, this is where things get interesting because, of course, Manchester United have been linked to Jean-Clair. Todibo have wanted to make a move for him since last season, funnily enough. I don't know why they didn't move proactively last summer if they knew Ineos might come in. But anyways, UEFA have confirmed, and it's just heavily started raining. I don't know where the summer's gone here in the UK, but UEFA have confirmed that Manchester United and Nice are not allowed to transfer players to each other, whether it's on a permanent or a loan basis, directly or indirectly, from July 2024 until September 2025, with the exception of pre-existing transfer agreements until ownership issues are investigated. So essentially what UEFA need to do is investigate the ownership surrounding Nice and Manchester United if there is a big and a large conflict of interest. But for the next year, UEFA have given themselves 1 year to investigate this situation. And as a result of that, Manchester United and Nice cannot do any business. Now, what business were they going to do anyways? I think it would have only been Jean-Clair Todibo, because I think the other player that we kind of looked at a couple of weeks ago was Kefran Turam, who's now expected to go and join Juve. So Todibo is looking highly unlikely. So between now and September 2025, that's 2 summer transfer windows and a January transfer window. What is United's really other option that they can do if they want to sign Todibo? I don't know, because they can't do it directly or indirectly. So it's not like they could sell him to a feeder club and then loan him or buy him from there. They cannot do that. Now, like I said, the positive news surrounding this is that obviously we now know that Manchester United will be able to compete in UEFA competitions, despite the fact that there is another club in the competition that has the same ownership. However, you won't get 2 good opportunities, basically. What can we say? What can I say, guys? What can I say? the verdict will not go your way twice in a row. Now, I think, again, this is unfortunate. It's unfortunate for the player. It's unfortunate for the club. But this also shows why Manchester United should have kind of got the ball rolling last year when they were first in the market for Todibo. Of course, I think by August, there wasn't really no certain front runner in the ownership race. Obviously, it was announced in November that Sir Jim Ratcliffe and Ineos had won, and they were going to come in as the new owners. But if only last summer, the previous, the Murtos, the Arnolds, all of them guys kind of did their due diligence and they just got the job done. But they didn't. And now that set United back another 3 transfer windows. And guys, can I just say that Todibo, I think, doesn't have long left on his contract anyway. So now Nice have a decision. What are they going to do? And also, what if Todibo wanted to go and join a big club? What if he wanted to compete in a competitive league? No disrespect to League One, but what if he wanted to go to the Premier League or etc.? It's kind of like, I feel it is unfortunate, and maybe I'm just saying this because it's Manchester United's transfer window that's being hindered by this. But now Man United need to go back to the drawing board and look at the centre back options and think, okay, well, if I wasn't going for if we're not going to get to Todibo, we really need to kind of figure out who we're going to go for. Big up to Ridwan, always coming through with the information. Says, before offering 35 million to Nice to afford Todibo, West Ham has sent 2 other offers. They offered Neves Agard plus money. West Ham then tried to include Zuma plus money. That's coming from Santi Awuno. Clearly there's a market for Todibo as well. I think he will go somewhere. I think he's going to go elsewhere in Europe, but it's just one of them situations that it's just unfortunate for Manchester United. But like I said, at least UEFA have provided some sort of clarity. They've provided some sort of clarity on the situation surrounding multi-group clubs that are both operating in the same competition. Now, again, should I read it? Should I read their statement for you guys verbatim? I'll read the statement for you guys. UEFA's statement says, following the implementation of significant changes by the concerned investors in Girona FC and OGC Nice, respectively, City Football Group and Ineos, the first chamber accepted that the admission of Girona FC and Manchester City FC to the UEFA Champions League, as well as Manchester United and OGC Nice to the UEFA Europa League. The clubs were able to demonstrate that such changes brought them into compliance with the multi-club ownership rule, considering that, and this is the rule, this is the multi-club ownership rule that you have to kind of abide by in order to both be in the competition. No one is simultaneously involved directly or indirectly in any capacity whatsoever in the management, administration, or the sporting performance of more than one club participating in a UEFA club competition. And no one has control or decisive influence over more than one club participating in the UEFA club competition. So essentially, whoever's involved with the decision-making at Manchester United cannot be involved in the decision-making at Nice. Whoever's involved in the decision-making at Manchester City cannot be involved in the decision-making in Girona, which I think for me is kind of basic. I think that's kind of basic. Now, before we kind of move on, what do you guys think will be the outcome for Todibo? Because United's only other option is to take legal action, which they have threatened to do so. Bear in mind, they also threatened to take legal action against Newcastle to get Dan Ashworth out of his contract. I think they will take UEFA to court, but it's one of them ones where, you have to weigh out the pros and the cons in terms of, do you lose more taking UEFA to court, or do you gain more from taking UEFA to court? The way that I see it is, this could set a bad precedent for maybe even future clubs, or even future situations that Manchester United might see themselves in. Ineos might go on to buy another club in, say, Spain, or go on to buy another club in, I don't know, Italy. And then it sets a difficult precedent. So it's good to have clear lines and, to understand completely whether this is applicable to all multi-club groups, or, because that is probably the future of football, especially in the next 30 years or so. There's going to be a lot more multi-club groups kind of popping up left, right, center. Now, I personally think United should just move on from Todibo. I think they should move on from Todibo, especially because I think they also had the chance to get him last summer. That is the most important thing. They had the chance to get him last summer. Obviously, I think Ineos didn't know that they were going to be successful in their race for the Manchester United ownership. And they probably felt like the best thing to do at that time was to not sell him, because there's no guarantee that they were going to go to the other side and join Manchester United. So I understand that. But Manchester United should have pushed harder for that. Obviously, no one could foresee the future of what's going to happen 12 months from now. So it's difficult to have predicted where United would be 12 months from the last summer transfer window. But I think United should just move on from Todibo, not get caught up in this little rat race, this whole the aspect of legal action. I like the idea of taking UEFA to court, because I just feel like UEFA just take the piss with everything, and they really be stomping around like they're the big bosses. They are, but they be stomping around and flexing their leadership kind of thing, or ownership, as I would say. So I would like the idea of taking them to court, but I don't want them to get too caught up in that they kind of lose out on other opportunities of maybe signing other centre backs, because that's what this is all about. This is all about a young prospect, or a good prospect that United see a future for at their club in a specific position. And there's probably other alternatives out there. There's probably other players there available. And it's just a matter of Manchester United going out and finding it. Now, of course, I don't know how much the legal fees are going to cost. I can't really estimate that. But it'll be interesting. Let me see what you lot are saying in the chat. Jay says, taking UEFA to court is a stretch. However, how long would that take before the circus is over? Exactly. It's going to be a long, winding court case. And then by then, you could have just went and brought a new centre-back. Imagine the court case takes as long as the period that UEFA have kind of put on this rule. They've said, UEFA said between July 2024 and September 2025. So imagine the court case takes that 1 year. It's ridiculous. Just to end up signing him or not signing him next summer, that's going to be the third summer transfer window that you're chasing, Todibo. Ineos would take on the legal fees. No, not always, because guys, and again, I'm not comparing Ineos to the Glazers, but when the Glazers were selling Manchester United, they didn't take any of the legal fees. They didn't take on any of the consultancy costs. They booked that all to Manchester United's P&L. All the costs for the selling process to Ineos was paid for by the club. The legal fees for the Glazers, the consultancy fees, the financial fees, all of anything that was paid regarding selling the club, it was all those costs were incurred by the Glazers, but they were paid through Manchester United. So I don't know technically if that would be the case. Technically, if Nice drop out of Europa, we could sign them in January. Technically, we can't, because it's not about the fact that they're both competing in the same competition. The rule here from UEFA is the fact that they're owned by the same ownership. That's it. It doesn't matter if they were in Champions League and we were in Europa, or if they were in Conference League and we were in Champions League. It's the fact that we are all competing in a European competition and we are owned by the same club. Now, the other ruling that UEFA kind of stated today, they put their statement out today, was about competing in the same competition, yes. But when it comes to selling to each other, that is about the fact that they've got the same owners. That's it. And it's only until, by the way, UEFA complete their ownership investigation. They plan to investigate this. They plan to look into it and understand what exactly is the problem. Now, for me, I just see it as an opportunity to go find new gems, go find new defenders. It's not like they were was Nice gonna sell Todibo for like 10 million to United? No, I don't think so. So kind of like just cut your losses and keep it moving. But quickly, before we get on to all the transfer news and all of that stuff, Lisandro Martinez, guys, is having a serious Copa America. And this is why I think I'm so heavy on this idea of United signing good partners for him, because he is looking like a cut of his old self. I was always a bit skeptical about him going to Copa America. I'm not going to lie, given the fact that I felt like, he was rushed back towards the latter stages of the season, coming up to the FA Cup. But he has had a great competition, scored yesterday to eventually send through Argentina. And that was his first ever international goal. I'm really happy for him. I'm really, really happy for him. And you know what? This is why I'm just saying that Manchester United have to give him a partner. They have to give him multiple, should I say multiple partners? I don't know. Does he need multiple partners? He just needs somebody to have his back in the back line. He needs someone that he can build a relationship with. Might need a Lissandra emoji becoming a fan favorite. And bro, how did who got an emoji? I had to give this guy an emoji, man. This guy had to get an emoji, man. He's a club legend. But I do need to give a Licha. I need to drop a Licha emoji. I need to get onto that as well. Big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button, guys, and be sure to subscribe. Come on, we got over 90 people here. Let's at least try and get 90 likes, guys. Let's try and get at least 90 likes for the early stream. Like I said, because of the Euros, it's only right I went live a bit earlier in the day. Now, let's go to this guy right here. We've actually done it. I think I did a stream a month back talking about João Neves, the young prodigy. Should we call him the Portuguese prodigy? That's like a tongue twister. The Portuguese prodigy. United, long-time admirers of him. Benfica. I'm a bit about Benfica just because I just feel like they're just a money-making team. Like, they're just about making money. Enzo Fernandez, quite a few players have come through Benfica in the last couple of years that they've sold. Excuse me. United have been long-term admirers of João Neves, and he is on the list, reportedly. This is from Manchester Evening News, so we take it with a little bit of like a pinch of salt. But Manchester United have been long-term admirers of him. And amid the uncertainty surrounding Casemiro's future, they are interested in him. However, he's gaining interest from a lot of clubs in Europe. You know where there's a young talent with a big price tag, you can always find PSG there. PSG will always be sniffing around there. So PSG are one of the clubs interested in him, as well as Liverpool. Liverpool's another club that's interested in him now. Developing experience both at a national team level, at a club level, highly rated. Manchester United, now he's got a 120 million release clause, and I saw someone getting onto me in the chat before saying that you can bid below the release clause. But I just think release clauses are there for a reason. Either pay it or keep it moving. But 120 million release clause, guys, who do you think has overstated in the world of football the value of release clauses? Is it Barcelona that has messed it up? Because Barcelona is the only team I can think of where their players got stupid release clauses. Gavi, Pedri, Lamine Yamal most recently. 120 million for a release clause for a midfielder is a bit wild. I can't lie, it's a little bit wild. Nearly as much as Victor Osimhen's release clause being 120 million. Now, according to a Portuguese newspaper, Correio de Manha, Benfica have reportedly rejected 2 offers from Manchester United and PSG for the 19-year-old. And it's also been reported that United have put in 2 offers. Last month, an offer of £51 million, which is around 60 million euros, so about half of their release clause. And then the second offer was about 70 million euros, which is around 59 million pounds. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this up, because we're going to talk about Bruno. We're going to have to talk about Bruno today, especially with I would say, guys, reliable sources in Saudi Arabia is reporting about Bruno Fernandes being the number 1 primary target for the Saudi League after Kevin De Bruyne. After Kevin De Bruyne, the Sauds, they're going for Bruno. And I'm wondering, is it a time for United to cash in and maybe reinvest that money? And what better way to kind of bring up that conversation than to speak about João Neves? Now, again, I think 120 million is an outrageous release clause. We've seen people go and pay huge prices for players at Benfica and not really get what the value for money, e.g. Enzo Fernandez at Chelsea. I think he's a good player. I'm not gonna lie. I think João Neves is a good player. I think he's talented. I think he's a very technical player. I think he plays in that partnership role, in the deeper role. And I don't think United are looking for that right now. I think what United are looking for they're looking for that 6. They're looking for that deep player, that DM that allows Kobe to vacate the midfield and play a bit more freely, a bit more advanced. I've seen reports suggesting that United see Kobe Mainoo as a box-to-box. I don't know about that. I wouldn't say box to box. It's like people, no disrespect, but it's like you see a person of color playing in midfield and you just assume that they're a box to box. Not all of them are box to box. Not all of them are box to box players. Let me see what the chat is saying. Big up to Red Scare Claire says they probably get away with it because players tend to not want to leave Barca and Madrid. No one would sign a crazy release clause for Benfica. That's true. Ridwan said, I'd rather sign Ugarte, Hoijman, and Rabiot for that price, 3 for 1. Well, Rabiot's free, isn't he? Rabiot's available on a free deal right now, and apparently Rabiot's being dropped today. We're going to come to that later on in the stream. Abeswat says, to be frank, I think La Liga forces a release clause, so they put these 200 million clauses on players they never want to sell. I hear that. Alex says 100 million pounds, but I've read they are willing to listen to offers around 80 million. That's still a lot. 80 million is still a lot of money. Abeswat says Neves isn't better than Kobe, by the way. Damn, you lot saying. Malu says Neves and Meno is very balanced. I hear that. I think it would be balanced, but I just don't know. I don't know him as a low, because I feel like with Manchester United right now, what they're looking for in that midfield alongside Kobe is someone to play alone in that midfield, or a lot more deeper. Just some clarification. Let's quickly go back for those of you that came a bit late to the stream. Big up to Ridwan for this information. Manchester United can compete in Europa League, but they can't sign any players from Nice across the next 3 transfer windows. That is just to clarify what we were talking about earlier on in the stream regarding UEFA's official statement regarding multi-club ownership. There we have it. Manchester United will be able to compete in the Europa League, as Nice is as well, their sister club, if you want to call it that, but they cannot sign any players from the club over the next 3 transfer windows. So that is just some clarity on that information in case anyone's confused. Now, regarding this talk about João Neves, now I don't know, I don't know why United seem to think that Casemiro leaving is riding on whether or not they would sign João Neves. I don't see Neves being that direct replacement for Casemiro. Personally, I don't see him being that direct replacement for Casemiro. I think, like I said, that 120 million is a massive price tag. 120 million is a huge price tag for a young player that is still kind of excelling. He's good. Don't get me wrong. He's good. If we were just to talk just on the topic of release clauses, and I'm curious to know what everyone thinks. If you were to put a release clause on Kobe Mano, what would that release clause be, guys? Just taking into consideration the release clauses that are going around nowadays in the world of football for players of his age or of his talent. I'm seeing Lamine Yamal got a fat release clause. I remember Pedri and Gavi signed fat release clauses at Barcelona. What would you say Kobe Mano's release clause would be? Because realistically, I would want to say something like 200 million. But then all these other release clauses are so unrealistic. Why can't we be unrealistic? So if I'm being unrealistic, I'm saying something like 1 billion. But if I'm being realistic, I would say 200, 250. Now, it's crazy to me that even that can be a number for a release clause nowadays in the world of football. Superscud says 1 billion. Ridwan says 750 million. Alex says you need to buy United to sign Mano. So what are we saying? 6 billion. That's a 6 billion release clause if that's the case. That would be a 6 billion release clause. King says Kobe 200 million, but that's only because I don't want to sell. Benfica set prices to sell. It's in their history. That's true. Let's just quickly look at Benfica's selling history. I want to look at the selling history. Just because I'm curious, they've made more than 1.5 billion in player transfers since 2000. That is amazing. That is great. That is absolutely amazing. Let's look at it here. I don't want to promote betting on my stream, so I'm trying to zoom in as much as I can. There you go. There we go. We've zoomed in as much as we can because I don't want to promote betting. Let's look at the top 6. Look at that. There's been half of them have gone to the Premier League. Half of them have gone to the Premier League. João Felix, near enough to 130 million. Enzo Fernandez, their second most expensive. This is what I'm saying. When it's a Premier League team buying, the price is high. When it's other people, not so high. Gonzalo Ramos for me left Benfica way too early. I think he should have stayed another year because he left for 65 million euros to basically come off the bench. There's no difference between him and Højlund. Let me land. There's no difference between him and Rasmus Højlund in the fact that United spent 72 million on Rasmus Højlund to have him coming off the bench in the last couple games of the season. And then PSG brought Gonzalo Ramos the same year that they brought Kolo Muani to have him coming off the bench. PSG are lucky that they can afford to buy players to come off their bench for 65 million. That is very, very lucky. Edison, number 6, Ruben Dias, and Darwin Núñez, Axel Witsel, Raúl Jimenez. Okay, these prices go a bit down. There you go. There's Manchester United. Victor Lindelof, 35 million. Renato Sanchez, Di Maria in the early stages back. That is a long time ago. That's nearly 14 years ago. Okay, and this is where the price tags get a bit more realistic. Nemanja Matic, I forgot Matic came from there. David Luiz, Hellerman. You know this guy here, Jovic. I thought he was going to be the truth. I really, really thought he was going to be the truth. But just before we wrap this up on João Neves, guys, United, yes or no? Or is it dependent? Should United go for him, or is it dependent on departures? Is it dependent on Bruno Fernandes still being here, or is he not the right profile for Man United to go after him? Because I just think, yeah, I don't think he's the profile that United need, and I just think with the Bruno Fernandes stuff, there just needs to be some understanding and some clarity on that. Big up to everyone. Be sure to hit the like button. Be sure to subscribe. Listen, guys, we've got over 100 people here, and not even 50% of you guys have liked the video. It really helps with the algorithm. It really helps with the content. It pushes it out there, especially as a small channel. No backing, no investors, no nothing. It really helps. So please hit the like button if you can. If you want to join the membership club, you can. It's not called the membership club. It's called the Minions Gang. If you want to join the Minions Gang, you can. It's the pinned comment in the chat. You get your badges, you get your emojis, you get your custom member content. Of course, you get to support the growth of the channel as well. And if you want to support the channel in alternative ways as a full-time content creator, you can do that by sending in super chats of however much value with your comments, with your thoughts, or with any questions that you have that we can kind of discuss here on the channel. It greatly helps the channel. It helps to keep my electricity on and pay my Wi-Fi bills. Big up to Matt, says, hello, Minna. This is Daniel reaching you from West Africa. Big up to all my brothers and sisters from West Africa. Love from a fellow African as well. Big up to those. Where's everybody watching from? Before we go on to the next topic of Bruno Fernandes, let me know where. Just drop your location, because I am always curious to know where people are watching from. I anticipate that it is predominantly UK or America or Europe, but I know that there's a lot of people probably watching from like Africa and Asia, etc. So I'm always quite curious to know where people are watching from. Big up to Red Scare Claire with the super chat, says, I am an investor now. I wish I could do a thing. Thank you for the contribution, by the way. I wish I could do a thing where people who send super chats can get like investor emojis next to their name. I need to look at a way to kind of do that. That's going to be my homework for the weekend. Big up to Red Scare Claire with the contribution there. Staffo says, Ireland. Big up to Ireland. I went to Ireland recently. Very beautiful. I went to Northern Ireland recently. The Don says, New York. I got 100 guns, 100 clips. I'm from New York. Shout out to everyone from New York. That is on my bucket list to go and visit. Kenya, fellow East African in the building. Big up to Mike. Matt says, I'm chatting from Cape Town. Shout out to all my South Africans and all of those in Cape Town, Joburg, all of those places. Pretoria, I know my South African cities. Ridwan says, from my cat D chair in my bedroom in Manchester. Big up to Manny. King says, Brum. Big up to everyone from Brum. Red Scare Claire says, US and A, as Borat would say. Big up to those in US and A. Lil Yo-Yo's in the ends. I know you're in the ends, man. Shane says, Jamaica, I hope you're staying safe with is it a hurricane? I'm gonna say it's a natural disaster. And I hope you're staying safe for all of those in the Caribbean. I've seen that Jamaica was hit recently. So I hope you're all right, Shane, you and your family. I hope you're doing good. We Are United TV says New York. New York, big up to the new Botswana. Shout out to everyone in Botswana. South Korea. South Korea, really? Abdi, really? You're in South Korea? Because I would love to go to South Korea. Tanzania, my fellow East African. Fex says from home. Big up to those watching from home. I too am watching from home as well. It's really interesting to see where everybody is from. But listen, let's get on to the topic of Bruno Fernandes now. Coming straight out of Riyadh, the capital of Saudi Arabia, is news suggesting that Manchester United, let me quickly go on to, let me find exactly verbatim, word for word, this report. India, big up to those in India, big up to my brothers and sisters in India. Let me find exactly. Here it is. Saudi Arabia will directly target Bruno Fernandes as a main target to join the Saudi League. Now, if you are not familiar with the way that the Saudi League works over the last year or so, is that 4 clubs in the Saudi League are owned directly by the Saudi Investment Fund. What does that mean? 4 clubs are owned directly by the Saudi Investment Fund, meaning they deal with the finances of the club, meaning those clubs are owned directly by the government. The government fund those clubs. And what is the goal? The goal is over the last year and the next couple years, Saudi Arabia have a thing called Vision 2030 that's implemented by the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman to basically move away from oil dependency and create other avenues of financial success for the company. So for the country, sorry. So through sports, etc., and all of that stuff. What does that mean? Saudi Investment Fund directly is responsible for buying or selling players for these 4 teams: Al Nasser, Al Ittihad, Al Hilal, and I can't remember the 4th one. It's 4 of the biggest teams in the Saudi League. Essentially, they put all their money into the 4 biggest teams. That's how they got Cristiano Ronaldo. That's how they got Mitrovic, Sadio Mane, Hakim Ziyech. Who else went there? N'Golo Kante. All these guys on big wages were able to go there. This guy here, Bruno Fernandes and Kevin De Bruyne, are the next 2 targets for them. Now, I want to know, before we get into whether United should keep him or not, what is the price tag that United should part ways with Bruno Fernandes for? Because before the end of the season, it was reported that Bruno Fernandes' agency and his agent and himself sat down with Ineos, the manager, etc., to fully understand what the plan is, what is the goal, what is United going to do. And he wanted to know the ambitions of the club. He's not getting any younger. 29 turning 30, he's not getting any younger. He needs to win significant silverware and be part of a successful club. If that's not going to happen over the next couple of years, because United are in a rebuilding phase, and a big offer comes through for him, do you think United should sell? Do you think United should keep? Because I'm not going to lie, if United are going to go get a Wirtz or they're going to go get a Musiala, alright, cool, I'm all for it. But if you cannot tell me who United will go and get outside of Bruno, then I'm not too sure about it. And I still think personally that he can play in Europe. He's not at a decline in his career where he needs to, just go and cash out a check and go to Saudi Arabia. I still think he can compete at a high level. I still think he will do good for Manchester United. I still think that United can get a good couple more years out of him. If his agent is trying to look for a new contract, that's a different conversation. If they're trying to look for a pay rise for him, that's a different conversation. But I actually think that I respect him also for having this conversation with Manchester United about where is the club going? Is it a rebuild for the next 3 years? Will United be competitive across the next 3 years? Or are we expecting to be crap, and maybe competitive again? Because that means that he's also thinking about his future and where it kind of lies for him. 80 to 150 million signed as a 60 million. That is a very broad range. 80 to 150 million, brother. That's 70 million gap. You're willing to come on, make the bracket, make the gap a little bit smaller. Lil Yo-Yo says 200 million. Ridwan says 3 figures. Alex says, I think Bruno is class, but I'm not sure if he wants to stay for a rebuild given his age. Saudi dropped bags as well. Saudi dropped the bag on everyone. They dropped the bag on everyone. Ridwan says, Eze from Palace. I think that's the second person to kind of mention that. Abeswald says 150 to 200 million. King says Bruno wanted a new contract with more money, with 2 years left on his deal. So if money is the answer, go Saudi. I guess that's true. But the thing is for me, is like, he's not getting any younger. Bruno is not getting any younger. And also, can I just say, it's only for me if there is a F off fee. When I say F off fee, guys, that's English terms. I don't want to swear, but it has to be a fat paycheck. It has to be a fat fee, like 50 million, 40 million on your bike, but something along the lines of 120. United can't turn that down. 150, United can't turn that down, because not many other clubs are going to come in with that valuation for him. Now, I think Saudi Arabia's, the Saudi League's priority is to get someone like Kevin De Bruyne, and I think after Kevin De Bruyne, if they manage to get him to, I don't know, Al Hilal or Al Ittihad, then they will target Bruno Fernandes. Bear in mind, he's got former players that play there as well. Cristiano Ronaldo, Portuguese teammate, Alex Telles, former Manchester United player. They all play for Al Nassr, and that is the team reportedly in the front line to kind of get him. Now, the only way that I see United selling Bruno is if they've got someone else lined up to come in and replace him, because you can't sell arguably your best player, and you lot might not like that I'm saying this, but Bruno Fernandes is Manchester United's best player from a creativity perspective. Now, if Mason Mount was the long-term replacement, I don't think that's good enough. I'm going to keep it 110% with you lot. I do not think Mason Mount will be as good of a replacement for Bruno Fernandes. Maybe Mason Mount on a good day could be on a level of what Bruno is. But I just think Mason Mount right now, I can't lie, I feel like we're clutching at straws with him sometimes. Just because I think the injury situation, also, the situation of where do we see him fitting into the team? Is it a double A? Is it a 10? Is it a pivot? Where do we see him playing? All of that uncertainty surrounding him, I just need a clear plan. Bruno stays, this is the goal. Bruno leaves, this is the plan. We go buy Musiala, we go buy Verts, we go buy one of the best creators in Europe. Someone that will get you goals, get you assists, yeah? Because also, can I just say, is that the only thing that I think that, and somebody mentioned it in the chat before about, the financial aspect of it, you can get a fat paycheck. That is not a problem. Man United will probably not look to give him a bumped up contract. He just got a bumped up contract a couple of years ago. But he wants to be, and if it's true about the reports of his agent kind of trying to get him a new deal, he wants to be one of the highest earners in the club. He's in a club right now where Marcus Rashford, Jadon Sancho all earn more than him. Casemiro, Varane before. Mason Mount earns around the same amount as him. Yeah? If his agent is trying to get him a new deal, and it is about the money, and it's not about the sporting project, and it's not about the competitive nature of the club, then Saudi is an option for you. Saudi is 100% an option for you. But if the talk about contract is more so to do with the fact that he wants to be committed to the club for a number of years, etc., I don't see Ineos doing that, because I don't see Ineos investing a big contract into a player that will soon start to decline. And that's no disrespect to Bruno Fernandes, but once people get to the early stages of 30, you start to see a decline in their performances. And I don't think Ineos are in that position right now to take the risk. Let him run out his 2 years of his contract, or if there is no contract for him in sight over the next year, because if he's got 2 years left on his deal, United will have to give him a new deal this season or next season. Otherwise, he'll leave on a free. And if that is the case, you're better off just selling him this year. If Saudi are genuinely looking to buy him, and like I said, if there's genuine interest, then I kind of rate it. He's got an option as well. Okay, so they got an option to trigger that option. That's good. If they've got an option to trigger, that's even better. That's even better. Keep them at a long term. I'd rather Musiala, Wirtz, or Olmo. What? Danny Olmo? If we are actually talking about replacement, he scored a few decent goals in the Euros as well. Ridwan says, would you accept 80 million for Bruno? No. I think that's too low. But the thing is like with selling players, Man United have to take into consideration so many factors, just like anyone else would. How much is Edison being labelled to possibly leave City to go Saudi? I think I saw 50 million, I think I saw around 50 million possibly. How much would City end up maybe selling De Bruyne to Saudi if he ends up going? I think that would be probably like 80, 90 million. I think also you have to look at what Saudi traditionally have paid for players. Saudi don't pay big if you lot realize, I think the only person that they were willing to pay a big transfer fee for was Kylian Mbappe. They were willing to pay, what was it? 500 million or 400 million or something like that. No, they were willing to pay 200 million to PSG for a guy who had 1 year left on his contract. Saudi traditionally do not pay large fees, transfer fees. They pay huge wages. That's what they pay. They don't pay. Let's look at what Saudi Pro League transfer fees. Let's look at what Saudi have paid for transfer fees. Here we go. Just let's look at last couple. This is literally the last couple. This is actually all probably in the same window, guys. Yeah, this is all the same flipping transfer window when the Saudi investment fund took over. The most they've ever paid for a player is 90 million. 90 million for Neymar. United are not. Maybe we should reel it in a little bit then. Maybe and I'm speaking to myself here. Maybe I should reel it in a little bit, saying United shouldn't accept anything less than 120, 150. They're not really going to pay a lot. 60 million for Malcolm. 60 million for Otavio. 55 million for Ruben Neves. Still, to me, that's a transfer that I don't know how Ruben Neves went to Saudi. 52 million for Mitrovic. 46 million for Fabinho. Bro, if Liverpool got 46 million for Fabinho, wallahi, Man United have to get 50 million for Casemiro. They have to. Milinkovic Savic, 40 million. Another transfer that I just thought, why is he going to Saudi? Riyad Mahrez, 35 million. Sadio Mane, 30 million. All these other men here, I don't even know them. Saint Maximin, we know that we know why that was, why he went to Al Ahly. Seko Fofana, again, another player that I thought, why the hell is he going to Saudi? Kalidou Koulibaly. Look at this. Saudi, and this is why I said Saudi traditionally over the last year or so, and all of these transfers, by the way, guys, look at this. All these transfers, wallahi, it's in the same, up until Habib Diallo to Al Shabab. All of those transfers, guys, were in one summer window. One summer window. And that's why I said Man United traditionally do not pay big do not traditionally pay big fees for players. Neymar, I understand why they're paying that for Neymar, bro. That's Neymar. That is Neymar. So I understand completely why they're paying that for Neymar. But everybody else, some of them price tags, I can't lie, I'm looking at it a bit sideways. Malcolm, 60 million. Is that Malcolm in the middle? Why are you paying 60 million for Malcolm in the middle? Anyway, Al Hilal, Al Nasser, Al Ittihad, and Al Ahli, the 4 teams with the backing of the Saudi investment fund. If United can get, just by looking at this, if United get about 70, 80 million, you know what? I might take that. Because Saudi won't come again. Saudi won't knock again with that price. Saudi will not knock again. Saudi willing to pay 150 million for Salah. So must get 80 to 120 for Bruno. You know what I think it is? I don't agree with you here. And the reason why I don't agree with you on that is because Saudi see Mohamed Salah as a commodity. Mohamed Salah, guys, is the biggest footballer in the Arab world after Messi and Ronaldo. After Messi and Ronaldo, Mohamed Salah is the biggest footballer in the Arab world. And the reason why I'm mentioning that is because that is equally as important as to why Saudi Arabia need him in the league. Because why? Everybody's the entire Arab world will watch the Saudi league. Right now, the African Champions League, where Egyptian teams etc. play in, is watched more in the Arab world than the Saudi League is. And the Saudi League, that's what they're competing with. They're competing with North African football. They're competing with, I wouldn't even go far to say the Qatari Star Leagues, etc., the UAE, because they're not huge leagues. But the Saudi League is competing with the competitions such as the African Champions League that have the Egyptian Giants and the Moroccan teams, etc., in it. And how will they get the Arab world to watch Saudi football? By having the biggest player of Arab in the Arab football world in the league. And that's why they would probably be willing to pay that much. Because to me, for the Saudi league, Mohamed Salah is more than just a player. Advertisement, all of that kind of stuff is a very, very important thing to them. And that's why I'm mentioning it. I'm not mentioning it, by the way, like in a discrimination way or anything. I'm thinking of the logic behind why they would be willing to pay so much. Guys, you can speak to anybody, yeah, in the Arab world when it comes to talking about football. You just mention Mohamed Salah. They will know straight away. Even if they don't watch football, they will know who he is. Funnily enough, guys, this is not related to Mohamed Salah here, but I had an Uber Eats delivery driver yesterday. And if you lot don't know, in the UK, you have to put in a code when you're picking up your delivery. But he couldn't speak English. So he handed me his phone to put in the code. So I put in the code and then it went through. And then he said to me, I'm Brazilian. And then I said to him, you know Neymar? And he looked so excited. He goes, yeah. And then he goes, you know, he named, what's his name? There's a Brazilian player, he said to me, and I just started laughing. Imagine that. He doesn't speak English. I speak English. And what we bonded over is Neymar. It was such a random encounter. Ridwan says Salah is basically sorted for life after Liverpool, although he's already sorted for life. Let's be real, he's already making like 18-19 million a year. That's true, but if he goes to Saudi, I don't like to pocket watch, but this guy's going to be on like 60 million, 60, 70 million, easy. And he'll be able to probably move his entire family, his parents, his cousins, everyone to Saudi Arabia. He'll be able to do that so comfortably. Bruno to Saudi would need to be 200 million plus. He's irreplaceable for the team right now. Man is in his peak and not in his sunset like the rest. I hear it. Dylan says, Bruno has helped Man United to 0 major honours. He's replaceable. That is so harsh. That's so harsh. Bruno is still under 30. If Saudi don't value him over 80, then no sell. A lot of you lot saying if it's not a big price tag, then United shouldn't sell. It's one that we're going to keep an eye on, obviously, for the next kind of couple weeks. Obviously, Manchester United will return for pre-season on Monday. Obviously, he will be playing in a knockout game today. So we're going to come to that anyways. We're going to come to that. Is there any Branthwaite news today? Is there any Branthwaite news? Let's have a look before we go on to Zirkzee. Jerma Jackson. Let's go to Jerma Jackson. I haven't really seen much news. Everybody's just talking about elections. Last month, Man United had a 45 million offer for Branthwaite rejected. They will make a second bid only if Everton indicate a willingness to lower their valuation, thought to be a minimum of 60 million. I think, yeah, so that 45 million was the first offer that Manchester United put in for Branthwaite, which was 35 million plus 10 million in add-ons. I already, you lot know my standpoint on Jarrad Branthwaite. If it's anything more than 55 million, which is including add-ons, United should absolutely just walk away. They should absolutely walk away. But another transfer that we're kind of keeping an eye on, coming straight from a direct football transfer news, caught offside. Take it with a pinch of salt. Reporting that Manchester United have reached an agreement on personal terms with Joshua Zirkzee. So where are we in the Joshua Zirkzee kind of story? Let's paint the scene. Manchester United was interested in him over the last month. I would say over the last 3-4 weeks. They notified Bologna that they will be they're happy to pay his 34 million release clause, very low release clause, by the way. And then they started direct talks with him and his agent. AC Milan, in that same situation, were also in talks with him and his agent, but have been put off regarding the commission and agent fees, which is quite high reportedly. I think is around, they're saying is around the 8-9 million mark, around that number. AC Milan was Joshua Zirkzee's preferred place. He had his heart set on that from when AC Milan have been front runners before the season even actually ended. However, Erik ten Hag has been in direct communication with Joshua Zirkzee, who is at the Euros with the Netherlands. And obviously he's reached out to him on multiple occasions to speak to him and I guess try to gauge the situation. A lot of other outlets have reported over the last week or two that Joshua Zirkzee is warming up to this idea of Manchester United and is happy to join the club after speaking to Erik ten Hag. And for me, it's just, let's just get it done. Just get it done. Of course, it's quite difficult to get it done when he's at an international tournament with the national team. So I understand that. But if you could just, announcements can be done after the Euros, there's only about a week and a half left of the Euros anyways. Is he a player that has been on United's radar for a long time? I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say he's the striker that United have been looking at for the because last year when there was talk about United signing a new striker, when they eventually signed Rasmus Højlund, Joshua Zirkzee's name didn't really come up. The Ivan Toney came up, Jonathan David came up, Serhou Guirassy came up, obviously Harry Kane came up, but I remember Joshua Zirkzee didn't really come up. So I'm assuming that the interest in Zirkzee is obviously off the back of a successful season that he's had with Bologna. I think he scored 14 goals in the league or in all competitions. Actually, let me double check. Let me not spread fake news like I'm Donald Trump or something. To understand exactly what his stats were for the season. Yeah, so I'm actually kind of right. He scored 11 goals in the league. Not 14 goals in all competitions. Let's double check. Oh, 12. I actually gave him a few extra. He scored 12 goals in all competitions and 7 assists, 11 goals in the league. Rasmus Højlund scored 15. And people said it was a shit season for him. So it'll be interesting to see how these two kind of connect if they do. Now, United seem to be committed to this idea of signing young prospects, good prospects from European clubs. They're not going for these kind of the bread and the butter kind of signings where it's complete signings. People like Ivan Toney with, you know what you're getting on the package. You're getting someone that can score goals. You're getting someone experienced in the Premier League. You're getting someone that can play in a system. For me personally, Ivan Toney is someone who should be getting way more playing time with England. But obviously, you also get the off-the-field issues, the betting scandal, being banned, etc. There's no guarantee that it won't happen again. You're already seeing what happened with Tonali, potentially what might happen with Paqueta. So United seem to be committed to this idea of going down the younger talent, more success, more, taking a risk, basically taking a risk on a player, and it could pay off. It could pay off. And another player at Manchester United right now, who's been a topic of discussion over the last week or so, Sky Sports reporting that despite speculation, Manchester United's primary focus for Marcus Rashford is to get him back to his best form. Rashford is expected to stay at Old Trafford. This is directly from Sky Sports. Obviously, he was part of the photo shoot for the new kit. I can't wait, by the way, to see what the second and the alternative kit looks like. Because if it looks like anything like the leaks, I'm looking forward to it, man. I'm looking forward to it. But it looks like this has kind of put everything to bed for Marcus Rashford. We can finally kind of let that topic of discussion go. Obviously, we discussed it here a couple of days ago on the channel, talking about if United should sell him. You lot cook me all the time when I say United should not let him go. They should hold on to him because it's just a rough patch that he's going for. Some people say it's a purple patch. Some people saying it's a rough patch. Obviously, I think with Marcus Rashford, I think probably he's the one player that has the fan base that divided the most. Opinions are divided the most when it comes to Marcus Rashford. I don't know what it is. Bruno Fernandes tends to have a lot more support than the critics. People like Maguire, it tends to be either a lot more of the fan base on one side than the other. But Marcus Rashford is probably the only player that I see that there is a clear divide in the fan base of the people that want him and the people that don't want him. I've never seen a player kind of split opinion that much. It's very, for me, that's very, very interesting. And last but not least, guys, this is my hear me out. This is my hear me out moment. Federico Chiesa. Juventus reportedly looking to part ways. Will not be offering him, by the way, a new contract, and are looking to part ways with him for around a price tag of 25 million. Now, I'm not saying this is why I'm wearing an Italy shirt, but this is why I'm here wearing an Italy shirt. No, I'm joking. This is actually not why I'm wearing an Italy shirt, but this is my hear me out. This is my hear me out moment. I think United should get him. It's not a priority. So if he's still available on the market come the latter stages of the transfer window, and United have done their business, they've brought in their centre-backs, they've brought in their strikers, they've brought in their midfielders, and they've got a little 25 million to spend, or they're still trying to offload Mason Greenwood, or they're still trying to offload Jadon Sancho, I think United should get him. Now, I tweeted earlier today saying, hear me out. I said, hear me out. And boy, people got onto me. People saying to me, he's injury prone, excuse me. Someone said to me, I could listen, but not this year, Mina. I said, okay. Someone said this is not a priority position. Someone said I'd rather play Palestri. Someone said he won't start. Someone said don't start. Someone said there's a reason why they're selling him for cheap. Someone said he's washed. Someone said he's injury prone. Someone just replied back, lol. Someone else replied back saying, no. There are people saying he's injury prone. This idea of a player being injury prone because of their injury record is interesting to me, because his injury record is actually not that bad. In the last season, he did miss quite a few days. He missed about just over 30 days, and the total games he missed for Juve was 5 games. Before that, the previous season before that, he missed about another 12-ish games due to multiple different injuries, and then obviously he had a ligament tear the season before that, so he missed majority of the season. I'm just saying, you need a winger, you need some alternative options, you need someone a bit more direct on the wing. I think he could be an option. Abeswald says 25 million is a decent deal if he can keep fit. Alpha says no, Chiesa is washed. Damn. Chiesa is not that guy. At best, offer 15 million with 5 million add-ons. I think they said 25 million euros price tag with add-ons included. Ridwan said he dropped off, but I'd love to have him for squad depth. I would have him for squad depth as well. I remember in the Euros, the 2020 Euros, he was balling. He was balling out at the Euros. I remember against England. Obviously, that's 4 years ago, so I can't really talk about his form 4 years ago. But I think coming off the bench, experience, direct, a cheap price tag. Why not, guys? Why not? He played on the left for Italy during the Euros this year. He was coming off the bench for them as well. When Marcus Rashford goes off, there's no one else to bring on the left. There's no one else to bring on when he comes off. You switch Garnacho to the left. You put Bruno Fernandes on the right. We need someone coming off the bench. That would be a great alternative option. A bit of experience, pace. He's quick, direct. Mina, what's his wages? I don't know. Let's check. Federico Chiesa salary. Let me check what his salary is. I don't think he's on a lot because he's at Juve. He's at Juve, so he wouldn't be on a fat paycheck. It's reported that he is on an annual salary of 150k. He's on an annual salary of 150k. Obviously that's I think that's the net value. So that because European clubs calculate, they show European wages on net wages, whereas for us we show it on gross wages. 150k. If he takes a pay cut and you pitch the project to him and you pitch his role to him, I don't know, man. Guys, it's not something that I would be completely... It wouldn't be the worst kind of thing, but can I just say, it would only be in the instance that United do all their business. Guys, he's only 26 years old. Are you taking the piss? What are you lot taking the piss? You lot actually taking the piss. You lot are talking about him like he's like some 33-year-old washed player. We're speaking about him like he's some washed up player. He's 26. He's the same age as Marcus Rashford. He is the same age as Marcus Rashford. I think, guys, he will be a good option just for that squad depth. United needs squad depth. rotation, squad depth, even, potentially starting when people are out of form, I don't think it's the worst idea. Italian and Spanish clubs only want to sell their own when they are finished. Trust, I hear it. He's not the same after the ACL. I hear that as well. United have to do their due diligence when it comes to signings, of course. This is just my hear me out moment of the week. This is just my hear me out, guys. I hear it if you don't want to and it's not convincing. I'm not convincing enough. I'm just thinking United should revisit this come August times when they've done all their business and they got a bit of chump change to spend. This is a transfer that they should revisit. Are we keeping or selling Aaron Wan-Bissaka? Well, United will have to sell him this year because otherwise he'll leave on a free next summer. So United will probably end up selling him this year. It's just a matter of getting bids within the region that they kind of appreciate, a respectable price tag. But that's all the news on Manchester United. Before we actually move on, let me just make sure that's all the news for Manchester United. I try to stay as updated as possible whilst live. Yeah, so that is the most updated stuff with Manchester United so far for the day. Obviously, just some background information. Manchester United players return on this Monday for pre-season. And the reason why I put Jadon Sancho on here is because even though pre-season starts on Monday for players that are reporting back that haven't gone to the Euros or Copa America, etc., Manchester United are reportedly keen to not have Mason Greenwood and Jadon Sancho report back for preseason. They don't want them back at Carrington. So I think the next couple of days, we're going to keep an eye on those two because that could be some moves that kind of ramp up a lot. Now, obviously, I'm going to quickly speak about this. Euros. Let me quickly answer Alpha's question here. You lot come in and chime in with your opinion on this question here. It's a good question. Minna, how come no one wants Sancho? Dortmund spread all that propaganda for nothing. I don't think it's that no one wants him. I don't think no one wants him. I think it's the wages. I think the wages, the transfer fee that United are trying to hold out for, I think that is what might be putting clubs off. United want 40 million for him. Apparently last year, United even tried to pitch him to 2 years ago, was it? 2 years ago, United tried to pitch him to Chelsea, or last year, I think it was. United tried to pitch him to Chelsea. I just think it's the transfer fee. I think it's the wages. I think a lot of clubs are probably interested in him and are kind of monitoring it, but they're not going to pay 40 million for a player that essentially had disciplinary issues and was out for half of the season and then moved on loan. And before that, hasn't really had a great season since leaving Dortmund. Let's be real. He hasn't had a great season since leaving Dortmund. And that's not his fault, by the way. There's so many different contributing factors. But I do think people want him. It's just that the price tag is not ideal. And United are going to have to take it L somehow. But just on the topic of the Euros, guys, Germany versus Spain, Portugal versus France. I can't lie. I think this is going to be the best game out of them. I think these two this game here is going to be the best two games out of the two quarterfinal games today. Tomorrow's games are good. England versus Switzerland, Turkey versus Netherlands. But I think this side of the bracket is where the winner's coming from. The winner of the competition, is coming from the two games today. Spain versus Germany is such a difficult one. It is I want Germany to win because you lot know I love Jamal Musiala, but equally I love Lamine Yamal. I'm such a big fan of him. Spain, for me, they're just such an exciting. Like watching Spain the other day against Georgia, it was just so refreshing to watch two wingers that are just doing what wingers do. And then when I watch England, I have to watch the nonsense that flipping Foden and them guys do on the wings. But watching Lamine Yamal and Nico Williams, enjoyment. Germany, another team I like to enjoy watching as well. I think they're a good team. They got so much talent. Wirtz, Musiala, Gundogan, Rudiger, etc. I don't know who's going to win this game. This is so difficult for me. But guys, before we actually go into conversation about this yet, has anybody seen this today? Has anybody seen this? Messi with Lamine Yamal as a baby back in December 2007 from a Spanish newspaper. It was a photo shoot organized for a charity calendar. Look at this. Messi That's actually Lamine Yamal's mum, by the way, guys. That's actually Lamine Yamal's mum. She's from Guinea. His father's from Morocco, which explains his name. It's a Moroccan name. This is the funniest shit. Excuse my language. The reason why I'm saying it's so funny, you can't write this. You actually cannot write this. The guy who I think is probably going to be next in line to take the number 10 shirt at Barcelona. Let me say it how it is. And you know what's funny, guys? I actually tweeted about it. Let me pull up a tweet that I tweeted 2 years ago. Here it is. Is this it? Yeah, here it is. This is a tweet that I tweeted 2 years ago. Look at the date, guys. The date is written here. Yeah. The date is written here, September 5th, 2022. I tweeted it saying, Lamine Yamal, 15 years old, has been called up to train with the Barcelona first team. Exquisite pace, dribbling, shooting ability, the kid's versatility on where he can play adds another level of value. La Masia product and dubbed the mini Messi. No pressure. This guy, I'm not saying I foresaw it, but now that I see that picture of Messi holding him as a child, this guy has to wear the number 10 for Barcelona. There is no one else I ever want to see wearing the number 10 after Messi, except for him. And then after him, no one else is allowed to wear it. Because how on earth is this even possible? Like, I saw this today and I just laughed. This is 30 years from now, 40 years, 50 years from now, when they make a documentary about Lamine Yamal, yeah, this is going to be the funniest opening scene of that documentary. But just let's go back to the topic of discussion here. I don't know who's going to win. I think this is such a close game to call. I feel like both teams in possession are good. I feel like Germany can get caught on the break, though. I feel like Spain can catch Germany on the break. The pace that they got, the dribbling ability of Yamal and Nico Williams. It's going to be a good fight. It's going to be a good fight. Musiala, for me, has to step up. Even though he's quite young, it's actually harsh for me to say he has to step up because there's other more older players in the team. But I just think for me, I called this the Musiala versus Yamal thing. This is the young player of the tournament is going to come from this game. It's going to be between the two of them. It's going to be between the two of them. I just don't want a boring game. I don't want a boring 1-0, 0-0. I want a thriller. I want heritage. I want a historic game. That's it. As a neutral, that's all I want to see. Yamal versus Jamal. Facts. It's the battle of the Yamals and Jamals. Everyone's forgotten about Wirtz. No, I mentioned Wirtz. I said Wirtz. I mentioned Musiala, Gundogan. That midfield for me will be so interesting. And then the second game of the day as well. Killy. France versus Portugal. Reportedly, Rabiot will be dropped. This is just a report kind of suggesting that Rabiot will be dropped and the midfield will be Kante, Tchouaméni, Camavinga. Now, I don't know. How does everyone feel about Cristiano Ronaldo up top for Portugal? The thing is, I want Portugal to win just because I love Cristiano Ronaldo in it. And for me, it's just a nice story for him to bow out from international football with another competition trophy, right? But the other day watching Portugal, I was getting frustrated. I can't imagine what Portugal. I really wish I knew more Portuguese people because I know a lot of Spanish people, so I can talk about the Spanish national team with them. But I wish I knew more Portuguese people to know how they feel about Cristiano Ronaldo playing, because I feel like a lot of the time they're just trying to find him in the box all the time. All the time, they're just trying to find him consistently, put a ball into the box, put a ball into the box, put a ball into the box. I think also the added pressure, like Cristiano Ronaldo playing, the centre-backs, they will feel that pressure. Whether or not he scores or not, they will basically put a lot more eyes on him. Let's be real. And Ronaldo is one of them players, like currently, he just needs a moment and he can create something. He can get a goal, etc. France are in the quarterfinals, guys, without scoring a goal from open play. Can you believe that? France is in the quarterfinals. They've scored 3 goals in the competition, 1 penalty and 2 own goals. I need something from them. I can't lie. Let's talk about France quickly. I just feel like, and actually Kylian Mbappe spoke about it. I think it was in his press conference where he spoke about the creativity in the team right now, and he said that he plays differently to how he did at the last Euros because he said the last Euros and obviously the last the World Cup that they won, he can make those runs through the middle because he said that Pogba would find him no matter what. He said Pogba would always find him. He didn't even have to worry. Now he's basically saying my midfield is shit. They can't pass. I need Paul Pogba back. And I noticed it in the way that Mbappe plays. That he's changed the way that he's played in previous competitions for France. Can I say Marcus Thuram up top? Well, I don't know what it is with him. That guy got a bozo gene. I don't know what it is. He's got some gene in his body that doesn't come from the Thuram family. Because he gets the ball at his feet and he just does nonsense. He does nonsense. And then they do this thing where him and Mbappe switch, and Mbappe goes up top and Thuram goes out wide. And then Kolo Muani comes on. Kolo Muani and Thuram, I see no difference between them technically, except for the physicality side of stuff in the game. I just feel like France have not fulfilled their full potential. And if they get to the semis and they go on to the final, it will probably be the most underwhelming team to get to the final just because of the competition. They haven't had, I could look at Germany and think of a game where Germany have dominated in the competition. I could look at Spain and think of multiple games that Spain have dominated in the competition. I look at France and I think, what have France done so far in the competition? They haven't done nothing. Sometimes I'm like, they might as well just bring on Giroud, because he will probably do more up top for them than Thuram did. I think it was the Netherlands game when he came on, and wallahi, his first involvement, a ball in, and he headed it down for someone to get a shot on goal. His first involvement of the game, he did more than what Thuram did in that entire game in a minute, or even less than that. But let's quickly just go on predictions. Spain versus Germany. I'm going to go and say, I'm going to say 2-1 Spain. I was going to say 3-1 Spain. I'm going to say 2-1 Spain. Lamine Yamal will finally get his goal in the competition. He's got a few assists, but he hasn't scored yet. He will finally get the goal. I think Musiala will score. And I'm going to say someone in Germany is going to miss a penalty. Someone's going to miss a pen. This is a wild prediction from me, by the way, because I feel like the games in the Euros this year with the big teams it's not really been exciting games. It hasn't been like any kind of wow factor games. Super Scud says 0-0 Spain pens. You lot are saying it's going to be a snooze fest. Germany 1-0. Abe's World says, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised at either of those. East Kanda says 3-2. Germany wins it in extra time. I don't want extra time. I don't want extra time. I just want 90 minutes of just back and forth football. It's wishful thinking, I know. It's wishful thinking, but if we can't get that now, then when the hell are we going to get it? Portugal versus France. Who are we saying? For the sake of the story, Bruno, Cristiano Ronaldo, Diogo Dalot, of course. 2 Manchester United players. Obviously, Ronaldo, my GOAT. I want Portugal to go through. But actually, you know what? Yeah, there's no but. I just think that France have not been really the France that you'd think you would see in an international tournament. Everybody speaks about how Brazil have become a boring team. You know how I don't know if you lot saw Neymar posted an Instagram picture of him sleeping while the Copa America was on while Brazil were playing. He's taking the piss. Obviously, Ronaldinho saying that he don't want to watch the national team anymore. Ronaldo, R9 saying he doesn't enjoy watching Brazil anymore. France now are looking like a team that's not enjoyable, despite the fact they have so much talent in that team. Ousmane Dembele, Mbappe, Griezmann. Rabiot for France is next levels. Obviously, Kante consistently man of the match. Saliba, for me, great defender. I don't know why people like to undermine him. I guess it's the dislike for Arsenal that makes people want to undermine Saliba, but he's a great player. He is a great player. Let's look at the lineups. Let's look at the lineups quickly before we end the stream. The lineup for Spain versus Germany should be out. Yes, it is. Here we go. You lot ready? Here we have it. This is the lineup. France have always been pragmatic, Minna, but that ain't going to stop us from winning it. Wait for it. Are you a France fan? Camavinga will find Mbappe in behind. This game I want extra because I really need to see their mentality after fully drained energy in 90 minutes. France has no midfielders who is good going forward. No one to link midfield to attack. Yeah, I think that's what Mbappe was kind of alluding to. They have no Pogba. That's it. That's it. But here it is. Here's the Spain versus Germany starting lineup. 4-3-3 for Spain. Simeone in goal. Cucurella, Laporte, Lenormand, and Carvajal in the back line. Pedri, Rodri, and Ruiz in the midfield. Lamine Yamal, Morata, Nico Williams up top. If Spain had a better striker, wallahi, that would be one of the best front threes in the competition. And then Germany with a 4-2-3-1. They got Manuel Neuer in goal, probably going to bow out after this. Kimmich at right back, don't get that. Rudiger and Jonathan Tah in the centre-back pairing. Ram at left back. Cruz and Emre Can in the middle. Gundogan in the 10. Musiala right. Sane left. And Kai Havertz up top. Sane versus Carvajal will be an interesting battle. Equally, Musiala versus Cucurella will be an interesting battle. Equally, Nico Williams versus Kimmich. I think we might see another Ademola Lookman moment, you know. I think we might. You see that goal that Williams scored against Georgia? I think we might see another moment like that against Kimmich. I think he might sit Kimmich down and score a good goal. But that's just me making very, very bold predictions personally. You know me, guys. I like to make bold predictions just for the sake of it. But big up to everyone. Listen, man. Be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. As always, you lot know what it is, man. I will be back tomorrow. If there's any Manchester United news between now and tomorrow, of course, I will be live. Big up to everyone, man. It's the road to 5K. Hope you have a wonderful evening, afternoon, morning, whatever the time zone is where you're watching. And yeah, that's my predictions. Spain to win and Portugal to win. And then Spain versus Portugal. And the winner of the competition will come from the 2 games today. It's as simple as that, guys. If you're watching the stream back, be sure to hit the like button and be sure to subscribe. Big up to everyone, man. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll be back tomorrow with more Manchester United content and then previewing, obviously, the rest of the Euros games for tomorrow. I'm out, man. You know what to do. Hit the like button. Peace.